A man walks out of a prison gate in northern Germany. It is September 17th, 2025. He is not met by press. He is not met by protesters. He is met by police, the same police who, 5 years earlier, stood in front of cameras and said something extraordinary. They said they had concrete evidence this man killed a 3-year-old girl. His name is Christian Bruckner. He is fitted with an ankle tag before he clears the parking lot. 2 phones are put in his pocket, one his own, one from the police, so they can always reach him. Within days, a team of 8 undercover officers will begin following him in 6-hour shifts, 24 hours a day, for as long as he remains free. That is not how Germany treats someone who might be guilty of something. That is how Germany treats someone they believe is guilty of something specific and cannot yet prove in a courtroom. Her name was Madeleine McCann. She was 3 years old. She has been missing for over 19 years. Christian Bruckner has never been charged. The piece of evidence that eventually pointed investigators toward Bruckner wasn't found at a crime scene. It was found buried in his garden, beneath his dog's grave. To understand why a man is being followed by 8 police officers in the German countryside, you have to go back 18 years, to a small, quiet resort town most of the world had never heard of. Praia de Luz on Portugal's Algarve coast, the Ocean Club Resort, a family holiday. Kate and Jerry McCann, both doctors, were staying in a ground-floor apartment with their 3 children, Madeleine, and her younger twin siblings. On the evening of May 3rd, the McCanns joined friends for dinner at a tapas restaurant roughly 50 meters from the apartment. The children were checked every half hour or so throughout the evening. At around 10 o'clock, Kate McCann went to check again. The window was open, the shutters were up, Madeleine's bed was empty. Within days, this became what the press would call one of the most heavily covered missing person cases in modern history. Search teams, sniffer dogs, a worldwide media presence that arrived within the week and in many ways never fully left. Kate and Jerry McCann were not treated at first as grieving parents. They were treated as suspects. What investigators eventually found cleared them completely and pointed somewhere else entirely. In September 2007, Portuguese police made a decision that would shadow this case for years. They gave Kate and Jerry McCann arguido status, formal suspect status under Portuguese law. For months, the parents of a missing 3-year-old were treated, publicly, as possible participants in her disappearance. The tabloid coverage was relentless. Then, in 2008, that status was lifted. The McCanns were cleared. The investigation that had spent the better part of a year looking at the wrong people had to, in effect, start over. The cost of that misdirection wasn't just time. Madeleine's twin siblings, Sean and Amelie, grew up inside a media spotlight neither of them asked for. In more recent court testimony related to the case, Jerry McCann described, through tears, how much of his and Kate's effort over the years has gone into simply trying to let their son and daughter be known as themselves, not as the missing girl's brother and sister. A German national, lived on and off in Portugal's Algarve region from 1995 to 2007, the exact window in which Madeleine disappeared. He worked odd jobs. He had a documented history of burglary in the area. He also had a criminal record that would eventually make him impossible to ignore. Convictions for sexual offenses, including against children and drug trafficking. In 2019, a German court sentenced him to 7 years for raping a 72-year-old American tourist in Praia de Luz itself in 2005, 2 years before Madeleine vanished. Same village. His residence at the time was a matter of a few minutes' drive. Some reports say closer, on foot, from the Ocean Club resort. Cell records reportedly placed his phone near the area within a narrow window around the time of Madeleine's disappearance. In June 2020, German prosecutors made an announcement that changed the shape of the entire case. They stated publicly that they had what they called concrete evidence that Bruckner had killed Madeleine McCann. 2 years later, in 2022, German authorities formally named him a suspect in her case. In an earlier investigation, police searched a property connected to Bruckner and recovered a hard drive that had been buried near his dog's grave. According to reporting on the case, it reportedly contained writings referencing drugging a mother and daughter, a large collection of children's swimwear, and images consistent with child abuse. Investigators have also cited alleged Skype conversations in which Bruckner discussed wanting to capture something small and keep it for days. A former associate has claimed, in testimony whose reliability has been publicly questioned, that Bruckner once remarked it was strange that a child didn't scream when taken. None of this, however disturbing, has yet translated into a formal charge in the McCann case. 8 undercover officers, 6-hour rotating shifts, 24 hours a day, an ankle tag, 2 phones, one supplied by police, so Bruckner can never truly be out of reach. If German authorities are that confident in what they believe he did, the obvious question isn't why they're watching him this closely. It's why, after everything, they still haven't charged him. The answer sits at the intersection of 3 legal systems. The disappearance happened in Portugal. The suspect is German. The victim was British. Each country has its own threshold for what counts as chargeable evidence, and German law in particular draws a hard line between circumstantial, inferential material, patterns, conversations, timing, and the kind of direct evidence required to bring a murder charge to trial. Legal analysts covering the case have pointed out that the standard in Germany is considerably stricter than in the UK or US, where circumstantial evidence can, on its own, support a prosecution. Britain's Metropolitan Police, running Operation Grange since 2011 at a cost north of £13 million, have said publicly that Bruckner remains a suspect in their investigation, while stressing the case is still formally classified as a missing person inquiry, not a murder case, because no body has ever been found. The monitoring isn't about proving what already happened. It's about preventing whatever might happen next, while 3 separate legal systems slowly work out whether concrete evidence and prosecutable evidence are the same thing. So far, they haven't been. The physical search for Madeleine has never fully stopped. Investigators have returned more than once to the area around the Arid Dam Reservoir, roughly 45 minutes from Praia de Luz, a site Bruckner reportedly once referred to, in conversation, as his own little spot of paradise. In June 2025, German and Portuguese police carried out a multi-day search of scrubland and abandoned structures between Praia de Luz and a property once connected to Bruckner, using heavy machinery and ground-penetrating radar. As with earlier searches at the dam, this operation did not produce evidence publicly confirmed to be connected to the case. Since his release, Bruckner's life has been a rotation of temporary places: Kiel, then Neumünster, motels, homeless shelters, and eventually a tent in the woods of northern Germany, living on roughly €1,000 a month in social welfare while 8 officers rotate through watching him. Local residents, wherever he's gone, have organized to push him out: protests, petitions, concern for children in nearby schools. By early 2026, reporting indicated he had been relocated again, this time into accommodation arranged by local authorities, following renewed community pressure at his previous location. He has never publicly commented on Madeleine McCann's disappearance. He continues to deny any involvement. In May 2026, something shifted. The Metropolitan Police confirmed they were actively building a file, not a fresh missing person appeal, but an actual evidentiary case, aimed at persuading the Crown Prosecution Service to authorize charges against Bruckner in the UK, with the possibility of a trial at the Old Bailey. The target, according to reporting on the Met's efforts, is to bring charges ahead of the 20th anniversary of Madeleine's disappearance, May 2027. A small team of detectives has reportedly spent months assembling a file for the CPS built around suspicion of abduction and murder. There are real obstacles standing between that file and a courtroom. German law restricts the extradition of its own citizens to countries outside the EU, and it isn't clear Berlin would agree to hand Bruckner over even if UK prosecutors are satisfied with their case. Commissioner Sir Mark Rowley has been careful in public statements to note that the investigation remains, technically, a missing person inquiry, while confirming Bruckner remains very much a suspect. Still, for the first time in nearly 2 decades, investigators have named a specific courtroom and a specific year. Kate and Jerry McCann have spent 19 years answering the same questions. They were investigated, cleared. They raised 2 more children under a level of public attention most parents never have to reckon with, and they have never stopped asking for an answer about their daughter. Madeleine McCann would be 23 years old. The man German prosecutors believe killed her is living in Germany on social welfare, followed by 8 police officers, wearing a tag that never comes off, waiting. A family in England is waiting too. And somewhere between those 2 facts, a man who has never been charged and parents who have never stopped looking, is a courtroom that may or may not open its doors in 2027. If this case made you think, tell me what you think in the comments. And if you want the next full breakdown, it's already up.